Shalom Chavrim, I'm Stephen Ben-Nun. You're watching Israeli News Live. Very troubling news coming out of Syria. Definitely a flashpoint of sorts. The Guardian is reporting that the U.S. has shot down a second Iranian-made drone over the skies of Syria in the last 12 days. Again, the U.S. claiming that the drone was armed. And of course, of all places, it was headed towards the base of Al-Tanf. The article goes on to say here, U.S. forces in southern Syria have shot down an Iranian-made armed drone in the second such incident in 12 days, and a further sign that Washington and Tehran's agendas are colliding along the Syrian-Iraqi desert frontier. A U.S. fighter opened fire on the drone in the early afternoon because it was approaching a U.S. outpost at Al-Tanf, a strategic point near the Syrian-Iraqi-Jordanian borders, according to the U.S.-led coalition fighting the Islamic State Operation Inherent Resolve. We've already been reporting here to you guys here on Israeli News Live. In fact, before it ever even went to mainstream media, we were already showing you that the U.S.-led coalition was building up forces in Jordan on the Jordanian-Syrian border. In fact, Al-Tanf, we even broke that to you before it ever went to mainstream media, showing to you all the troops, the movements of armaments, etc. Even now, we've seen the German military promising to have their aircraft in there by mid-July. The Dutch military, not their special forces, but their regular military, is talking about moving soldiers into the Jordanian side as well. We've seen the Norwegian Special Forces join U.S. and British Special Forces there at Al-Tanf, according to news sources that we shared with you on this already. It is a constant buildup, and we've been saying all along that we believe the U.S. is doing this in order to draw Iran, Hezbollah, and even the Syrian military into a confrontation to have a justification to be able to take down Iran, Lebanon because of Hezbollah, and that of President Bashar al-Assad in Damascus. Now, it may seem a little bit far-fetched to say that, but then we got vindicated by Yahoo News. We shared with you earlier on Yahoo News saying the same thing. Two key figures in Trump's administration is calling for the offensive to begin against Iranian and proxies that are fighting inside of Syria, which would be Hezbollah. And of course, those militants working together. Iran has already fired their own missiles from their own country into Syria, giving the U.S. An excuse to be able to go after Iran's mainland as well. And of course, now they've shot down a Syrian Su-22 bomber over Raqqa. Again, U.S. no doubt will use this to justify to be able to take down Damascus. Now, of course, Damascus has denied this, said that they were not targeting U.S. forces, but they were indeed actually targeting ISIS targets there. But 3 U.S. soldiers have been killed. Still no report in mainstream media about this. And Russia also getting involved in this provocative movements here, as we see on South Front. They're reporting provocative Russian jet comes within 5 feet of a U.S. recon aircraft. Quoting Fox News, said just 2 days after a U.S. fighter jet shot a Syrian army aircraft out of the sky, and Russia halts cooperation with U.S. military. An armed Russian fighter jet buzzed a U.S. Air Force reconnaissance aircraft on the Baltic Sea on Monday. 2 U.S. officials have said this to Fox News there. Again, the Russian Su-27 was armed, had missiles on its wings there. Shows Russia is getting very serious about believing they're getting ready to go to war. They see the provocative measures inside of Syria with the U.S. coalition, and I hate to even say that, being that I'm an American, but you know, the whole situation could have long been over had the U.S. just backed off, stopped supporting the Free Syrian Army there, allow Bashar al-Assad, allow the Russians to deal with ISIS on their own. Don't even get involved with it. Just let them deal with it on their own, and they would have brought peace and order back to this country. But no, we're going to see biblical prophecy manifest like you've not seen in a long time. Isaiah 17 says that Damascus will become a ruinous heap, and the fortress of Ephraim will cease. Well, Ephraim are those Christians living in Damascus for the last 2,000 years. And I'm not talking about the fact that I know Ephraim's descendants also migrated north, went up into Britain and even to the United States. But in this case here, the prophecy says that the fortress of Ephraim will cease. Why? Because they will actually attack, destroy Damascus. When Damascus is destroyed, President Bashar al-Assad, who has stood for the Christians, Jews, and the Arabs, both Sunni and Shiite and Alawite, and they've been able to live at somewhat a peaceful coexistence together. That's all coming to an end. But Jordan, where the United States, German, Dutch forces, Norwegian forces, British forces, Free Syrian Army, and all these other nations that are there fighting against ISIS, well, not only ISIS, Iran, Hezbollah, and the Syrian military, and could get into a confrontation with Russia, they've been building up in Jordan all along. What's going to happen there? Well, according to another prophecy that we find out that Jordan becomes a desolation. Well, you heard it right. And of course, there's other articles coming out. The Business Insider just put out an article today. The U.S., Russia, and Iran are edging close to an all-out clash in Syria. I think it's all at hand. I'm Stephen Benoon. You're watching Israeli News Live. Blessings to you all. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. And it would be just so nice to have some good news to speak about instead. Well, I'll tell you what, if you want good news, go to Danoon Institute on our YouTube channel there. There we try to speak about better news than what we do here. Shalom.